So, as I alluded to last video, we've had a lot of interesting stuff happen this week, especially in Parliament. Obviously, with it returning, the fact that Boris Johnson has now decided to basically be as un-British as possible in Parliament, to the point of even walking out to refuse to listen to points of order, which he may be required to respond to as as Prime Minister. This is not how a Prime Minister should act, and it's kind of weird because I've seen all these videos before, but not from British people, but from Americans. And I know your pain now. I truly know your pain when I've seen many American videos and who have just gone, this is not how the President of the United States should be acting, and I'm like, yeah, I agree, but now I feel like we've got a better connection now. I really do. Yeah, this is not how the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom should be acting. It is absolutely insane. And here's the thing, the Joe Cox stuff is completely out of line. Boris Johnson must think that Northerners are absolute idiots. That's the only conclusion I can think of. In fact, we are going to go through, quite frankly, what I think is the best response to this in another video from the Yorkshire Post. I almost forgot where it was from then. But yeah, from the Yorkshire Post. And it nails the response to completely. So wait for that coming soon, because we're going to go through that. And it's perfect, to be honest. It gets it right on the nose. And we addressed the anger issue. I think you've got to be careful, Tories, if you think following Cummings, following his line is a good idea. I've got bad news for you guys. He hates you. He hates you on a really, really, really substantial level. Like, hate, but times it by 10. This is not the guy you really should be following. This guy wants to completely smash the Tory party. It's funny when, as mentioned last video, when you have people from the ERG, that's the European Research Group, following everything what he says, hook, line and sinker. And yet, for some bizarre reason, not only do they follow and parrot every word he says, but they don't seem to have read his blog. You may remember, this must have been a couple of months ago, where we went through an article that had been through reading Dominic's blogs. And what did he have to say about the ERG? Well, if you watched last video, you know. But he called them a metastasizing cancer that should be cut out of the UK body politique. This is absolutely insane. It really, really is. But there you go. And Cummings is the problem. I mean, we're just getting word that this weekend there are now moves afoot to impeach Johnson. We might go through some of that as well this week. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because he has committed a crime, and this could very well open up to impeachment. But as I say, the big showdown happens on the 19th, because if he hasn't got a withdrawal agreement by the 19th, then he has to, by law, go to the European Union and ask for an extension. Now, they've already said that they will give an extension. That's not an issue. But what the issue is if Boris Johnson does not abide by the rule of Parliament, which, according to Brexiteers, was what this was all about. That Parliament wasn't indeed sovereign. Yet, within the past week or so, we have seen the sovereignty of British judges, British courts, Parliament itself. And yet, Brexiteers are the ones championing the, that the British courts are somehow too political. And that they are not doing their job correctly, that they are apparently going against the law to frustrate the will of the people. This, quote, 17 million people, which again, in a country of 66 million, is a minority. And you can see why they don't want to have another referendum, because they're scared that they will lose it. Because this time, a lot of people who voted to leave are not going to believe their lies. A lot of people who voted to leave, who wanted to remain in the customs union or single market, are not going to vote for you this time. Because as I purely think, I think there's a lot of interesting stuff at the moment that has been written about what the question on the next referendum should be. And it's very obvious what it should be. It should be remain or no deal. And Brexiteers, bizarrely during the last referendum, were all about getting a deal. We're all about, we won't leave without a deal. We won't trigger Article 50 until we have a deal. Anyone remember that? And here we are. Here we are. The problem that caused it all was the ERG forcing Theresa May. Yet here we are. And this, Brexit is just a problem caused by the Brexiteers for a solution that nobody else wants but the Brexiteers to really hardcore Brexiteer problems. Now, I'm really glad for one that Jeremy Corbyn has recently come out and said that he's going to scrap universal credit. If you've seen some of my videos on universal credit, you know how bad that system is. You know how basically the Tories knew that it was bad and yet even continued knowing to roll it out, knowing how bad the system actually was. And yet, why aren't people caring? Because the Tories have continuously decided that they're going to denigrate the poor. Oh no, look at this one guy who gets like a load of, sorry, I just had a complete mental thought there. Benefits this one guy gets. So what? He might need it. He might need it in order to live. Don't judge someone just because they receive, a certain amount of money from the government. You could judge someone. Look at that guy in that job. Look at how much money he gets. Can we not judge him? Shouldn't he receive less? There's these stupid arguments. But here we are, continuously in this situation. So I've wandered wildly off topic, back and forth. So to finish, interesting week coming ahead. Might we see an impeachment of Boris Johnson? Who knows? We will certainly, possibly see another court case running up to the 19th. That will be when, again, more fireworks. Anger, not a good idea, people, to stoke people's anger, because sooner or later, you are going to be the one that anger gets turned on. And it's very obvious that's what's going to happen. But there you go.